Okay, everyone, we're going to be thinking about contrast for this project. So you want to think about what's opposite or dissimilar. So in our pictures, it's probably going to be the contrast of black and white, light to dark. So the state of being strikingly different from something else in juxtaposition or close association. Oops. Okay, so here's a picture here. See how the silhouette of the camel and the subject are really dark? And that contrast between that and the moon, or that and the setting sky there, is really light to show that change, especially by the legs. There's a really strong contrast there. And the moon compared to the sky, or the moon compared to the hand, it really stands out because of that contrast. Okay, other things, lights at night, fireworks against the night sky. These are all great examples of that contrast. Because it has those really dark darks and those really light lights. Now let's see, if we went downtown New York City, where could we find some great contrast? Maybe the dark colors of the buildings versus, are they not going to play? Okay. Well, even just looking here, the dark colors of the buildings versus the light colors of the clouds, or where the light is hitting the windows. Some of those windows are lighter than others. Any of the reflections. Okay. So here these ones, there are a lot of things going on in them, and there is quite a bit of contrast, but it's not really clearly showing contrast in these pictures. I don't. Okay, so you don't have to take all of your pictures at. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I did this one. So during the day is a great time to find contrast as well. These were when I was in New York City. There's the contrast between the buildings and the clouds, the contrast in the images, that black and white there, or the building, like the light, where it's reflecting on some of the windows versus under it, showing that contrast. Now, all of these ones have good contrast, or they have contrast in them, but it's kind of lost because of the amount that's going on in them. So you really want to see what the subject is in your image to be able to show clearly what you want to show. I don't know. Now you can also find contrast with the shadows. Now see how one side of this building, even though it was all brown here when I was in Morocco, one side where the shadow is, it's super dark, and on the other side where the light is hitting, it's very light. So it's showing some nice contrast, even though the objects themselves don't show black or white. It's all like the same color. So you're really paying attention to the lighting and the shadows. Okay, I'm excited to see how your contrast pictures turn out. Okay, everyone, we are working on taking pictures with motion today. So we're going to be showing frozen motion and blurred motion. So frozen motion is the moving object, or the moving subject is in focus, showing the movement. Using a short exposure and a blur motion lets you convey a feeling of movement in the image without the moving subject being sharp and clear. So you would want to use a long exposure. Oops, I'm not even going to do this one, but animals. Okay, we're talking about landscapes today. So it's photography that captures the spirit or beauty of the outdoors. So you can take landscapes, you could take cityscapes or seascapes as well. So landscapes, you want to convey that nature in there. Cityscapes, the feeling of the city, and then the seascapes, body of water. Okay, so here we've got New York City when I was there over the summer, but from New Jersey, so it's showing that water in there too. If the subject in there is more of like the city, the skyline of the city, then it would be more of a cityscape. If the subjects are more of the water, it's more of a seascape. But some places you have a bit of a combination of both. So maybe in a seascape you might have more of like the dock, the boat, the water, clouds, further away city in the background. For a cityscape, you might have more of the city as a prominent feature where the buildings are taking up a lot of the space. So right here, kind of on the left-hand side, looks more like a cityscape, and on the right-hand side looks more like a seascape. Okay, here's New York again, but the city is way in the background, so this is really a landscape here, even though there's that city in the background. Getting the trees, the grass, any other things that you would find outside. You really want to think about the subjects that you're including. So right here, this was when I was in Texas and we were watching the bats fly out from this cave or fly out from the bridge, and there's a whole bunch of bats, but that's not going to convey really well in a photograph. You can barely even see them in this video. But this is a good spot for a seascape or a cityscape. So right now I zoomed in. You can see these little tiny dots. Those are all bats. If you see that fuzzy line in the background, those are all bats. It's really cool in person, but you want to think about what's going to show up well in your photographs and what's not going to, even if it's a really cool thing. Okay, so you could have the waves moving in your seascapes. You could have sunsets, nature, boats. I think some of these were in Florida and some of these were just on Lake Michigan. Okay, so your landscapes, where is it located? Are there more cacti? Are there more trees? Try to find a good landscape, maybe some mountains. Find out where you are going to see everything. I don't know. Crop this part. Okay, now some of these are Morocco, and then there's also the Statue of Liberty. You can see some really good contrast in these, but think about how it's going to convey in your picture. So if there is a lot of little things, they might kind of just blend together where you might want to have one focal point, like the Statue of Liberty, or like in this middle one, the building right there.